How are you, Mr. Lampflower?
Mr. Novak, good morning. I'm very well. How are you?
Good, good, good. You got in trouble yesterday.
I got in a little bit of trouble yesterday. Should we tell the world?
Yes. I was pretty surprised when you brought up the topic and said, let's talk about it. I thought, wow, that's bold. It's a complex topic. It's a
It is.
hard to talk about topic.
Yeah, particularly for me being the subject of it. But anyway, we're going to talk about this morning being ordinary or being extraordinary. Episode 266, Mark Novak. What's the difference, first of all, through your lens, between someone ordinary and someone extraordinary?
You know what? It's an uncomfortable topic because, you don't want to insult people and you want to motivate people. And the difference between extraordinary and ordinary is first of all, it's probably 1% of the people out of 99% of the people are offering extraordinary, whether it be personalities, service, thinking, dynamic, whatever that is, compared to the 99%. And, most of the ordinary can acknowledge and identify extraordinary, but most of the ordinary choose not to do it.
Yeah, and I suppose you hear the saying over and over again, whether it's talking to your children, giving them advice growing up, whether it's being from a friend, try not to be a sheep. Don't be the one that follows the crowd. Be the one that stands out from the crowd. Not easy for everyone to do, but there are a select bunch that can do that.
Look, it definitely hurts, and I know where this came out, guys who are watching today, James and I were talking about your career, and there was things that you've done in the last week that I sort of identified and pull you up on and said, like, really, where do you want to be in your business? Because you've just started 6 months ago and doing an incredible job, but it's very easy just to slip into the ordinary and make a living. And for most people, that's okay. For some people who really want to smash out of the ballpark, if it's their decision, not mine, as a manager and as someone being trained like you, it's amazing that it's lots of little things that will make up that incredible real estate agent, and it's a summation of all those things to say they are extraordinary. So yesterday, an example of that with you, I'll over to you. You can explain it.
So I'm, what was it now, Mark? 8 months into working here at Novak's. And I feel very lucky. I've done a lot of things here. And at the moment, I'm heading more into finding out a little bit more about what the world of residential sales is like. So I got in trouble because we had sort of agreed verbally the night before.
It wasn't trouble, but it was
that I was going to have a Thursday day off because I'm going to be working over the weekends now. So I'm going to do the Saturday, Sundays. And a couple appointments booked in for Wednesday. And I was offered cover for one of them, and I took it without hesitation. Now, from your perspective, you're giving me opportunities to be quite privileged to jump into this world. And that wasn't something that rubbed up very well on you, was it, Mark?
Well, you know what? It was we're working on a property together, and James are going to be writing the commission for that property, and I'm not going to be writing any commission on that property. And our expectation is, look, you do the work. You there?
Yeah, sorry, that sound went for a second.
And the expectation is, well, James is going to do the work and get the training, and I'm going to train along the way while we're doing it. And then we had some work to be done, and it happened to be your day off. And I think as a trainer, it's like, hang on a sec, you got this opportunity, you got the money for this opportunity, you're getting paid for this opportunity, and you're not going to take the opportunity just because it's your day. And I don't know, like, it's one of those things. One, we're in COVID, which is a bit irrelevant, but I'll cover that in a second. But two, with hard times. Two, it's when I was starting in the business, and I don't know if it's the way particularly for everyone, but it seems to be a common trait. When I started in the business for 13 years, I did 7 days a week. And, I was by no means extraordinary with IQ. I was probably on the other end of the spectrum. I probably am on the other end of the spectrum of IQ. But, in terms of hard work, I would outpace, out-trump absolutely anyone in the business, because I was there. I was there from early morning to late at night, and I was there 7 days a week. And it's pretty hard to explain that success and show the pathway to that success to someone like yourself to be extraordinary. And it's borderline drill sergeant, and it's like, and you're either going to hate me or love me for it. And it's very interesting. And to help someone who wants to be extraordinary, to build someone to be extraordinary, it's very, very painful to watch.
Yeah, and I can only imagine from your perspective, it was interesting to have the conversation yesterday, and all of a sudden you have this realization, this switch. So I was happy that you gave me the call in the end, but it sort of reminded me as well that from day dot, there was one thing that you were trying to instill, which has been work ethic and ethos. And that's been from the very first morning that I was there. So yeah, it all makes perfect sense, and it all follows one consistent theme. And yeah, I don't think it's you being drill sergeant necessarily, but I think it's also good to have that mentality that if I do something wrong, you'll roast me for it, which sometimes you need that to a small extent.
Well, particularly, I think for people that are starting in real estate or starting in business and coming out of university, like I had a meeting the other day with one of my daughter's friends. Not a meeting, he was having a drink with him, and he was saying how lost he is, and he just doesn't know what to do. And when he does find something he's going to do, he's really going to give it his all and go very, very hard. He's going to be extraordinary. Now, the reality is that when that presents itself, that opportunity, most people will take the opportunity, and most people will slip into the life of ordinary. And they will say, yes, I want to be the best in the business. And yesterday when you and I were talking, I think I likened it to weight loss.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that?
How did you phrase it, Mark?
We all want it. We all want it. We all want to lose the kgs, but do you really, really want to make the sacrifices?
Yeah. Are you willing to make the changes? Are you willing to adapt your habits to actually reap the rewards of it? And you're right, 95% of people, whether it is with weight loss, whether it's trying to perfect a skill, whether it's trying to master your trade, your industry, whatever it is, for the most part, people don't put that actual time into it, do they?
99% of people won't. Yeah.
And that's why you don't see a quick change in a vast majority of people. The vast majority stay the same and they stagnate. And that's not where we want to be.
And in our business in real estate, that's the great thing. And I think when we're pitching for business, I don't think that ethos doesn't even have to be proved to a client. They just know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like so the amount of business that I've written and that our team's written, like we have some amazing people in our business, and the common trait that all of these guys have in our business is this extraordinary, these extraordinary personalities. They're very strong people. They're very hardworking people. They're very organized people. They've honed in these skills on every aspect of their business that they need to do and sharpen the blade. And they're not doing it 3.5 days a week. You know what I mean? They are going hard. Now, once you've achieved that, I think you can get to a stage where you can actually, when we have kids, you can actually move that around a little bit. So when I've been an agent for 28 years, and I know, you know, there's a beauty that you're in control, and I think wealth managers always talk about it. They call it freedom.
Yeah.
You know, when you see those, you know, they're selling, you like to have the financial freedom for the rest of your life, we can do this for you. It's when you're actually very good in your craft, you do have that, I won't call it financial freedom, or some that freedom to actually be able to go harder, to maintain, or to balance with children, wife, kids, and that sort of stuff. That's also an art, but certainly the message is for guys and girls, and to people like yourself, is when you are that age where there are no kids and there is no wife, it is, you know, go hard with partying, go hard with enjoying yourself, and equally go hard with work. And just when you do shit, just go hard with it. You know, leave no prisoners. Be extraordinary, and there's benefits for it, because ordinary. I find that ordinary would be quite hard in ways. Do you know what I mean? Because you sort of have limitations where you can't do this or you can't do that. So it's really interesting. But I have to say, after all of what we've spoken about, he who dies happiest wins.
Well, that's right.
So,
we all end up in the same place at the end of the day, don't we?
Yeah. However you get there, when I'm not measuring any of this conversation by dollars. I'm measuring it by happiness, and you know, and I think along the way with training you, I'll always pull up and say, you know, is this what you want?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Is it, you know, because if it's not, just tell me. Do you know what I mean? Because we're not going to keep barking up that tree if it's not what you want. And I think it's a bit like a drill sergeant in the army. Like if you're front and center, and you know, you're going through the ranks, and you're there, and you've signed up for it. So it's really interesting, eh?
Yeah, it's fun. It's a journey as well, and that's part of it, isn't it? It's not just, you know, nothing's the same every day. It's probably quite interesting from your perspective, seeing someone new come into it. I'm sure you've done this your whole career, but seeing someone come in and sharpening your own blades in terms of your mentorship, because you've taken a foot off your sales career, haven't you? You're still well and truly in there, but you've taken a step back and you're seeing it from a different perspective now. You do heaps in every department in the business. So what you do is quite incredible, how you're working 4 or 5 jobs at once. So
it's been with people. Thank you, but with I think with building, with the partnership that I have with our reps, their partnership, and building, it's been really, really interesting, because you know, all those traits, a lot of it is everybody's different. What makes everyone ticks different. Like, it's amazing the extraordinary people in the office that they have their own groove. That's for sure. They're certainly not carbon cutouts. They definitely have their own thing, their habit, their own groove. But certainly, I think that we are a small business, you know, like I always laugh and call it a glorified fruit shop, our business. You know, like, it's not, you know, we're not corporate A&P, you know, in the city or anything. We're a glorified fruit shop, but certainly through that glorified fruit shop, and I had this conversation with my daughter the other day. The amount of people that have made a fortune, you know, working in the industry, extraordinary people from the glorified fruit shop, on the back of them being brilliant and being trained correctly. It's interesting.
There's usually quite a low retention rate in the real estate industry, isn't there? And I heard this before coming into it, and continually as you go through, but we don't quite have that at this office, do we?
3 out of 4 in 2 years.
3 out of 4 in 2 years.
That's the number. So 3 out of 4 people starting in real estate will be out of real estate within 2 years. Our average tenure in the office is 5.5 years. If you do a head count within the business,
Yeah.
and then you divide it by years of service, added up. So it's 5.5 years. But certainly to find people like yourself as an employer, you've got to go through probably about 15 to 20 people to have someone who actually ends up coming through and shines bright and starts making money. So the extraordinary trait is straight away reduced down to 1 in 20. Is I think that's a nod of 80% of people won't work. No, it's more. It's 5% of people. 5%, 95% of people that come through that door in sales won't work. The 5% that do work, it is a real it's a big success to them, and then for them to come out of the other end and have that patience. Sometimes there's a bit of ego wings and stuff like that being extraordinary. So to come out the other end, and it's a little bit of is boring as well, James. And I say it's walking the grey line. A little bit is boring because it's repetitive. You would identify with it being a professional tennis coach. There would be times in that coaching where your student would be bored as fuck. They would just be like, do we really have to do this again? And I think everything's like that. I think, in most of our lives.
But that's it. And that's half of it, isn't it? But being able to remind the person, the subject, the pupil, that unfortunately you've got to jump through these hoops from time to time. And whether you're doing the same thing repetitiously for a year or 10 years or 28 years, it doesn't change. You just get better at it and it becomes easier every time.
And you never actually really know if you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And it's, it's certainly not a destination, the life of extraordinary, but with people that I've watched, that I've trained. But it certainly is trained and train. It certainly is. It must really play on your mind, thinking, although you can see other people in the business that are doing exceptionally well on the path they took. It certainly does come up in your mind. I know you're always counting commission. I think thinking that you have to be conscious about it, because that's what you got to do. But it's quite interesting that it just happens and it presents itself, and then you keep pumping.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Interesting to have a chat about that this morning after our conversation yesterday, Mark. I thought we'd take a stab in the dark, and
it was a big stab, dude. when I said when you SMS me, I want to talk about that. And when we spoke about it yesterday, I was like, fuck, that's pretty bold. So, mate, good on you. Very, 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 very cool.
No worries. Before we go, we've had Amnol. You guys are big fans, aren't they? Amnol Singh, good morning.
Hey, Amnol, how are you, legend?
Nikki Parker, sorry, can you actually teach work ethics? That's a good one. I think you can guide, but you can't change someone's.
I think teaching work ethics easy, but I think practicing work ethics hard. I think teaching weight loss is easy, but I think practicing weight loss is hard.
Yeah, well said.
So the teaching part is good, but it's that's why I say it's a two-way street, because it's really up to I know you call them the subject, call them the salesperson or the property manager. It's really, the power is really to those people with what they do with the training.
Yeah, the ball always falls into your court.
Yeah.
Only 20% of agents are worth the commission rates that are being charged in real estate. That percentage number is being generous, by the way. Would you agree with that, Mark?
Who wrote that?
That was Michael Edwards.
20% are worth it. Yeah, look, there's a lovely balancer out there, and I don't know if we'd call it karma or what we call it, but it seems to be the leveler for real estate agents that they don't survive if they're not worth it.
Yeah. Fair enough. And I suppose that real estate agents of all, as you say, there can be a bit of ego involved. Very self-critical, I imagine, as well. So you've never got a specific goalpost you're aiming for. You can only ever aim higher and higher and higher and higher. So it's hard to judge that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a
That-
lifestyle. Tom Panos quote, you know what you have, you know what you know, but do you know what you know? Did I say that right? I did.
You know what you know, but do you know what you know? Yeah, I think that's practicing what you preach again.
All right. Mark,
Thanks, man.
much. Good morning. Thanks, guys.
Guys, keep an eye for James. Watch James, follow James and his career. I think you'll be impressed.
Thanks, Mark. Let's hope so. See
All
ya.
right, guys, take care.